How many of you, I'm going to use positive peer pressure here, but how many of you are or have been working through the book of Proverbs so far this month? Trying to do it once a day-ish, okay? So if that's the case, you're almost done with 1 month. Awesome. The rest of you got like 4 days left. Get reading, okay? So, yeah. We've enjoyed reading it. I know I sure have. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was one of the most popular kids' TV shows in the 90s. Vance, there you go. Zordon, a magic dude stuck in a glass tube, was able to recruit 5 teenagers from all walks of life to defeat the evil Repulsa from world domination. The Red Ranger was by far the best one. The green one is that lame one that everybody likes, but it's because they have no taste. You want to fight? There we go, okay? So those of you know what's going on there. Okay. This was pretty much, I was one of those teens, I was one of those kids that just fell for this show. Like most boys my age, they usually had a favorite Power Ranger. And if you were a legit fan, you actually stood in line opening night to go see the Power Rangers movie. I know this because I did that. That was me with my mom. My mom took us because she was a trooper. My dad just made fun of the thing the whole time. I don't know why. It's quality entertainment there. Anyways. The show was significant for me, and I look back because I'm watching it with my girls now. Okay, so, and it's fun because every season they bring together these teens from various walks of lives and perspectives, and they have to work together for a common goal. Yeah, the common goal is usually pretty corny. Some dude dressed up in a really ridiculous outfit who laughs evilly all the time, even when it doesn't make any sense. And for some reason, within 20 minutes, the good guys can always beat the bad guys by getting into their Zord, their big robot Voltron machine, and beat them every episode. I make fun of it, but the same thing still applies. You had 5 teens from various walks of life, various backgrounds, various social status and structures and brains and education, and they have to come together and work. And it was really cool because you could go to a playground and I could meet random kids who also watched the show, and each of us had our Power Rangers who we would be, and we could come together and play and fight whoever the bad guy was. See, this is a lot like life. You have a lot of us from various walks and backgrounds having to come together and try to accomplish something good. This show, as well as other ones, taught kids lessons on friendship, cooperation, and working together to accomplish bigger and better things. See, wisdom has been the theme of our Proverbs study. Getting wise. Doing what I know I should be doing. The writer of Proverbs, specifically Solomon, realizes that for his sons to be successful, they need to know how to apply God's wisdom to a son's important relationship, and that is his friends. And so he tells us here in Proverbs 13:20 that whoever walks with the wise become wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Now, nothing you hear today is going to be earth-shatteringly new. Most likely, you have heard these same principles applied by your mom, your dad, your school teacher. It's sort of like built into us. And so nothing you hear is going to be like, whoa, I'm going to be the best friend ever from now on. Everyone will call me their BFF. No, it's nothing like that. But as you've probably encountered, as you've been reading through the book of Proverbs, is these random lines, 2 lines, a few verses here, a few verses here, that talk about an individual's companions. And so our goal today is to actually try and bring those together and summarize those for us in a theology of friendship, okay? A friendshipology of the book of Proverbs. Now, to get going, we first have to sort of define how things sort of play out in our lives and friendship. And so I created this very articulate, detailed explanation of how friends work, okay? How our companions work. So we are in the middle, right there, okay? And usually around us, we surround ourselves in our good friends, BFFs, best friends, whatever we label them. We have a circle here of people that we call close. And they usually stick with us even if we move to different states and we have different walks of life. They are the people we can rely on through thick and thin. They are just there no matter what. Then you have this next circle, which are friends, and this is usually for people with a common purpose or common goal. And so, for example, all right, Alec, he plays the guitar here. I would consider him my friend. I don't call him when I need counseling, I just need help or to go and hang out, but we're friendly with each other and we have a common goal and purpose, and that's serving here and worshiping, etc. So we have a common connection that we make, and we're friends. So he'd be an example. So we have some people that sort of fit in this circle. And then there's the rest of you, okay? We're like, yeah, and it doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean that. You don't really rub shoulders with them. You haven't really found a solid connection. They're just there, and so it's everyone else. And these aren't perfect circles because, as you know, some friends, they sort of bounce in between BFFs and here, and then some friends would be a little closer to everyone else. It just sort of depends, and there's a lot of flow that happens in there, but roughly that is what we function with, is these circles. Now, in regards to work and church, this is how work and church and employment community sort of impact this. Okay, so we have the 3 circles still, BFF, friends, and everyone else. And really for ourselves, so occasionally we'll have a really good friend in the community. We'll have some people in our family, I'm talking extended family, that we're like, I really like my sister. I really like my brother. We share and connect and we're close. And so you would call them, no matter what, we're like BFFs, okay? Whatever you want to call that. And then there's the other families, like maybe your mom or your dad, you talk to sometimes, but not necessarily a close friend, but someone you interact with. And then there's your Uncle Georgie, okay? Who seriously, you would just like to push as far out as you possibly can, okay? You know who I'm talking about. If you don't know who I'm talking about, from what I heard, it's actually you. I heard this, okay? So that's just a heads up there, all right? And so we have this, where we have this, and then occasionally at church, we have some good friends that we meet at church, and then it flows. And so really that's how our communities impact our circle of friends, all right? And so this is roughly what we're gonna function with here, is how do you decide, how do you deal with companions on this level? What's some wisdom principles that we can apply? And so we're gonna try to summarize those for us here this morning. The first one is actually in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 7. So I hope you're there. Proverbs 28, 7. And it says this: the one who keeps the law is a son with understanding, but a companion of gluttons shames his father. What? The one who keeps the law, that's pretty much when they refer to the law, that's one who obeys God's law, walks with a level of uprightness and good character. That's a guy with understanding. But he says, A companion of gluttons shames his father. Well, that's a fascinating verse to get started on. And then this other one. It's in Proverbs 14, verse 20. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich has many friends. Well, that can seem a little, I don't know. It's like class warfare going on. Is that what's being said? I mean, because as you've encountered in Proverbs, you'll have a friend about verses here, and then you won't even talk about friends for a while. So this is it. These are just these bold statements in the middle of nowhere. What's being communicated here? And then look at Proverbs chapter 19. So go back a few chapters. Proverbs chapter 19. Look at verse 4. Proverbs 19, verse 4, it says, wealth brings many new friends, but a poor man is deserted by his friend. That's a jerk. A false witness will not go unpunished, but he who breathes out lies will not escape. Many seek the favor of a generous man, and everyone is a friend to a man who gives gifts. All a poor man's brothers hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursues them with words, but does not have them. Whoever gets sense loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will discover good. A false witness will not go unpunished, but he who breathes out lies will perish. That is a combination. And it's really what it's trying to communicate here is this. See your friends as they really are. This is the first one. You can be defined by the friendships of people who are close to you. It's just reality. Because you notice these proverbs aren't telling you to act like this. What are these wise statements saying? This is reality. This is the fact of life. How many rich people do you see living with people who do not have homes? Well, Leslie and I got in a full conversation this morning about the economic disparity just in cities between the rich and the poor. We watch it play out in Seattle. We watch it play out here in Tumwater. Go to every major city, every community. The last thing a bunch of upper middle class people want is a bunch of poor people living across the street. And if you're like, how dare they? You say that until they park right across your street. And then you realize, I see what he's saying here. There is a division that happens between those who are rich and those who are poor. Okay, but yeah, we get this. But then you see what he said in Proverbs chapter 19. Wealth brings new friends. A poor man is deserted by his friends. Why? And he says, because a rich man has something. A rich man can possibly give you something. If you smooze up to this guy or this gal long enough, maybe you'll get something in return. So what do? People abandon the guy who is even pursuing them with words, trying to maintain it and keep those close to them. They leave him and abandon him and go. And this is what he's trying to warn you about. Listen. You need to see your companions as they really are. Are they staying close to you because they want to be your friend, your companion, you are equals? Or are they just hanging out with you because they want something? Many of us can think back in our life and it's like, okay, this person here hung out with me here because they wanted the fame. They wanted attention. They wanted recognition. They wanted to be bolstered. They wanted their image to be. Why do you think everybody hangs out with what? Is Paris Hilton even a thing anymore? No. The Kardashian sister people. Okay? It's because if I hang out with them, people look at me. People see me. Maybe I can end up on their show, get some recognition, get popular, end up with my own reality TV show. Hey, hey, hey. You got to be able to look in your life and look at them and say, okay, you are that kind of friend. You're just wanting the attention. You're wanting what's happening to me in my life to rub off and you to pick up some of this. We've got to be able to label that. It happens at work. It happens in church. It happens in our community. It happens, with your friends. This is something we got to know. And at any time in your life, if you happen to be one who somehow starts to succeed in life, you see very quickly who are your companions, who are walking with you, and who just want something in return. We just got to be aware of it. We have to see our companions as they really are. Just like how a companion of gluttons shames his father, if you are hanging out with the wrong kind of people and hanging out with people who are walking and leading a certain way of life, we got to know this group of friends, if I continue to live with them and walk with them and become like them, the result is I shame people around me. And so that's what he is saying here. He's like, hey, you got to be careful. There is a group of people, and remember, this is Solomon, a king. I mean, everybody wants to be near the king, right? Come on, you're safer. I mean, you live in the castle maybe. Maybe you get some money, maybe a position here. We got it, and so people are going to schmooze to you, son. They're going to go up. They're going to try to get something from you. And just know if you start hanging out with a certain crowd, even with money, and with the gluttonies who are able to feed themselves and are living pretty much in the lust of the flesh completely, wholeheartedly without stopping, the result of this is you shame your family. You shame your connections. You shame the people that matter. So be warned, we have to be able to first see our companions as they are. And so what we see is that one, cultural and societal pressures impacts friendships. So for the reality, it impacts friends. It impacts relationships. We also see that our friends are a reflection of what you value. And three, and this one's the one that we got to think about, is your friends always want something. Do they want your money and your fame and your reputation, or do they just want equal companionship? That's really what it is. We got to figure that out. Like, hey, is this guy just cool? Like, if I'm successful, he'll celebrate with me. If I go under, well, he won't celebrate with me. He'll cry with me. He's just here. No matter what happens in my life, this person isn't leaving. That's a friend. We got to label him or her, hold on to that person. And the other people who come and go and leave and stuff, we got to, okay, you're one of these. Doesn't mean you're mean to them. Doesn't mean you're like, don't talk to me. No, you just got to know in our own head. Okay, this person here, all right, I just got to know. Make sense? You don't be mean to the people. You just got to recognize in your hunt for your own sake, hey, these people are trying to schmooze with me because they probably want something. I should handle this a little bit differently than I would with a reliable companion. We've got to be conscious who we allow into our inner circle. Now look at this next point, okay? This next point is this one. Now this one's heavy, I think. This one I don't know if is taught as much, okay? And so we have these two examples. Let's see the verses here. Okay, Proverbs 17:9 and in Proverbs 17:17. You probably saw these verses. In 17:9 it says, whoever covers an offense seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates close friends. Verse 17 here says, a friend loves at all time, and a brother is born for adversity. So whoever covers an offense seeks love. This is neat. So whoever offers, the idea of covering was the idea of forgiving. They would offer sacrifices in the system, and God would cover their sin. By that, Jesus hadn't come yet to completely forgive, wash away the stone, so they would cover the sins. And this was the imagery here. And so what he's saying is, hey, someone who seeks an honest relationship with you, someone who's is going to cover an offense. Oh, you messed up. That's all right. We all make mistakes. It's okay. What's the difference? I forgive you. I've covered it up. But if you keep on making a mistake like that, what does it do? You're going to separate the friendships. So one, you can see the type of person, but hey, does he forgive you? Is he going to hold that against you? It's like, hey, but the same way, that doesn't give you an excuse to keep doing that thing. What do you need to do? You need to stop it. Because if not, you're going to blow a good friend. You're going to push that person away because they're going to look at you and say, wow, you won't stop doing this. I'm going to get away from you. I'm going to distance myself from you. And see, that is, wow, that's an incredible standard of a friendship because one, it brings out this idea of forgiveness and also brings out the idea of, hey, stop it and change, adjust. If that offends the person, stop doing it. And then he says this, Proverbs 17:17, look at this. A friend loves at all times. A brother is born for adversity. Brothers and family usually come in and bail other family members out when things go bad. I can say that. Most of the time, brothers, sisters, parents, children, family, you heard the phrase, what is it? Blood is thicker than water. And the idea is your family bonds are far more important than anything else. Proverbs doesn't say that. You guys see that? Proverbs doesn't say that. What he's saying is water is thicker than blood. Friendships should matter more than that bond with your brother. A friend loves all time, in the good and the bad. They should help out and celebrate with you when things are good. They should celebrate with you, or not celebrate, but like be with you when things are bad and you go through adversity. So it brings this level of, hey, yeah, brothers help when things are bad. But guess what? Good friends, they're there all the time. They have a higher standard. They love all the time. See, and this proverb captures this idea that, hey, your friends matter more than your extended family does. Your relationships, because what is it like? You get to choose your friends. You don't get to choose your family. You guys have heard that? You know, there's your friends, your BFFs in our circle. Those are chosen. Those are special. And he's trying to communicate to his son, hey, they matter so much. And just to let you know, if you have labeled this person as a close friend, what that means is you have to stick with them in the good and the bad times. Don't be like the people who are fickle and like, things are too hard for you right now. Bye-bye. Don't be like that. Be a good friend. Be reliable. This is what friendship is. It's a big deal. Now, he also leaves some other things, which you guys have probably seen here, which I think is really funny. So Proverbs 25:17 is a verse that makes me laugh. Let your foot be seldom in your neighbor's house, lest he have his fill of you and hate you. I mean, think about what that's saying here. Because oftentimes, in those days, they couldn't travel 25 miles, in 20 minutes. I mean, pretty much your neighbors, your companions, your neighboring farms, community, that was pretty much it. You had those friends and you didn't. And so he's saying, hey, don't keep showing up at your neighbor's house. I know they're cool. They get you some food, They're great cooks. They have a PlayStation 4. Because what's ends up happening is they're going to get sick of you, and then you're going to lose that. So it's like, don't take advantage of your friends. Don't take advantage of their hospitality. Don't take advantage of their friendship. Because what's going to happen? They're going to get sick of you, and then you're going to lose it. It's like practical advice. Have you guys ever been over? I mean, it's probably happened when I show up at your house. You're like, it was nice that Pastor Jacob was here for an hour. But it's been an hour and 10 minutes now. And he won't shut up. And you're like, it's done. And so you're just like, yeah. Oh, look at the time. Look at the time. Oh, man, I got this thing that we forgot about. And then I go into the theology of things, and then I won't shut up. And you're like, oh, my word. Never invite me over again, which is probably why I never get invited over to anybody's house. Because I didn't follow this principle. Nah, but you guys get the idea. It's really much, don't take advantage of your friends. Don't keep showing up at their house, because they're going to get sick of you. You're friends, but okay. Okay? I like it. So I'm just going to use this as an illustration, and this is for you friends as well. When your friend has hit that point that they're just annoying you, do everyone a favor and just said, hey, it's time to go. I say that because we were at community group one time. Paxton and I were in this good conversation. It was deep, it was theological. I think he was getting saved again. I don't know. I'm being really snarky, okay? And Deb Wentz, whose house it was, come up and says, it's time for bed. You guys you can talk outside. And it was like, oh, how dare she? And then it made it so nice because they were like, oh, okay. We just left. We knew where we stood. We could talk right outside, but it was time for her to get the kids to bed. Loved it. It was a shock, though. I mean, I was so offended for about 2 seconds. But it was good because I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to overstay my welcome. And she's like, bye-bye. And I'm like, okay. I got the hint, so it's good. But we can't take advantage of our friends. It's important. It's a high calling here. But then he goes in. So look at Proverbs 27:10. And I think Proverbs 18:24. So here, they're on the screen, but Proverbs 27:10 and Proverbs 18:24. So he says these other things. So we got that, don't take advantage of your friends. Don't keep showing up at their house. Leave them alone, for goodness sake, okay? But then he says here, he says, do not forsake your friend and your father's friend, and do not go over to your brother's house in the day of calamity. Better is a neighbor who is near than a brother who is far away. What? That's 27:10. And then Proverbs 18:24, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. You guys see how he says, do not go to your brother's house in the day of calamity? He says, better is a neighbor who is near than a brother who is far away. I would encourage this. I think we can spend more time investing in our family and travel the hours to go see about, which is good, than actually our neighbors right next door. There are a lot of people who live in apartment complexes who have no idea who their neighbors are. Across the street, across the hallway, caddy corner. Some people don't even know their neighbors right across the street. If something bad happens to your house, you know who has the greatest and quickest reaction in that time of calamity? It is not your brother who lives a long way away. It's your neighbor. It's your neighbors. This is what he's saying here. It is better to go next door to your neighbors and those in the community than traveling out of town and uplifting your whole family in a time of calamity and leaving the city entirely. It's just a lot faster to get back to where things are if we stay close. If we stay there, and if we've built that and cultivated that relationship with our neighbors, we're far more likely to have that. Our neighbor, bless their hearts, he's like in his 80s, I think. When every winter he comes out with all of his portable generators and he parks them and he tells me every time, if your power goes out and you need it, let me know, we can run it. Wow. He gave me the key to his house and his shed. You know where I get my lawnmower from? Him. You know who I give my grass clippings to every time I cut the grass? Them. Seems a little unfair. They're cool with it. But that's what you do when you build that relationship with your community. Spend time investing in your neighbors and your companions. Because in time of calamity, they're the ones you should go to, not the family who's out of town, way far away. And this, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there's a friend who sticks closer to a brother. Once again, the high calling of being friends with someone, and that is where you are closer than a brother. And just because, listen to this, just because you have many friends, you still can come to ruin. It's better to have one or two really good friends who are going to stick with you. Now as we get ready to close, here's this last one. Be ready to bite your tongue. Proverbs 27, 5 through 6 says this: better is open rebuke than hidden love. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. Friends are frank with each other. Deb kicking us out of her house. That's good. Know where we stand? Right there. Times, well, Leslie will come up and say something very frank. Or at times, I will come and I'm very frank to him. But what's happened there is him and I have a relationship with each other. We're friends. I trust him. Some people take advantage of this and will walk up to someone they don't even know and frankly say it. Ugh. Well, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Yeah, but I don't even know you. So I don't know if you're rebuking or loving or what. Get away from me. It's like what we do on Facebook. How many times have we just insulted, oh, you're an idiot. Bah. My Republican, my Democrat. Bah. Okay. I don't know you. So, faithful are the wounds of a friend. You are not a friend. You're just annoying. Just call it like it is. Okay? You're rebuking there are pretty much the kisses of an enemy. Not really, but you guys get this whole thing, all right? And then he says in Proverbs 15:31 here, the ear that listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. He who loves purity of heart and whose speech is gracious will have the king as his friend. So he's saying, hey, speak gracious with each other. You can rebuke someone nicely. I'm serious. It is a gift we should all try and do. Rebuking does not mean jerk. It does not mean bully head. It does not mean, wow. Seriously, we can rebuke people kindly. We really can. And I think what he says in Proverbs 15:31, one that is just really incredible, it says, the ear that listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. A friend has the ability to speak life into another person's life. And as friends, I think it's a high calling that we speak gracious, life-giving reproof to our friends. Just think about that, life-giving reproof and correction, okay? And he says, don't be like this. This is another one that I see, there's some funny stuff in the Bible. Whoever says the Bible's boring hadn't read it. Like a madman who throws firebrand, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I am only joking. Imagine someone standing in the middle of a town launching flaming arrows at the wood houses. We're just having fun. The city's on fire. No! That's not fun. Is the man who deceives and says, oh, I was just teasing. I was only joking. Ugh. See what he's saying? And watch what you're saying to people. A dishonest man spreads strife, and a whisper separates close friends. Friends, there are times where we need to speak graciously, and there are times we just need to shut up. There are times we need to watch our tongue, watch what we say. If we don't have all the information, don't say it. Don't. Ask questions. Don't correct and adjust if you don't have all the information there. Whispers destroy close friends. And like when you have more than one close friend, you have to be careful who you bring in your circle, because you might be good friends with thing one here, but thing two can't keep his or her mouth closed and whispers and divides and separates and corrupts. Get the person out. They're dangerous. Separate them. So be ready to bite your tongue as a friend. So as we close here, I want to say this. Matthew chapter 11, verse 19. We've been talking friendship. Be a wise friend. Watch your tongue. But I think it's significant here because it says in Matthew 11, 19, the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say to him, look at him, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is justified by her deeds. See, Jesus is our perfect friend. He didn't have to worry about, oh man, if I hang out with them, I'm going to, I got to be careful in that lifestyle. Because humanly speaking, we have to be careful who we hang out with. We do. But Jesus, he had every right to shove us and push us all away. And he was completely content and fine on his own, decided to come and to be the perfect friend for all of us. And so I think that's a reminder. If we look back at the principles that we've seen, Jesus elevated the call of a friend. He sacrificed and gave himself for people. He speaks gracious to people. Even when he was correcting his disciples and pointing them, he pointed them to something better. He called them to something incredible. Jesus is our perfect friend. And so what I say here, as we look at our circles, as we have our close friends and then we have everything, where does Jesus fit in there? Is he just someone else we occasionally talk to once a week here at church? Maybe he's elevated till we only think about Jesus twice a week. I mean, a good friend is someone we have closer. Do we treat our relationship with Jesus as a close friend? And maybe you're sitting here today and you don't know if you have a relationship with Jesus Christ. You're struggling. And you're like, I don't know where I have him. No idea. I'd really encourage you, hey, come talk to me after the service, email me, write me a message, and we can talk through how you can know and how you can draw him closer. So this is the summary of friendship in Proverbs. Let's do our best and live